I was standing in a hospital corridor that smelled like antiseptic and pity when I understood everything. The IV stand hummed, the monitor beeped, and my wife squeezed my hand like she was saving my life. "You owe me," her eyes said, not her mouth, never her mouth. That was the first lie. The second was the kidney. We didn't start broken. That's the part people get wrong. We started precise, ordered, two ambitious people aligning calendars and futures. She called it partnership. I called it trust. She was brilliant at making sacrifices look holy, late nights at work, missed holidays, and then the illness, mine, sliding into our lives like a quiet coup. When the doctor said transplant, she didn't hesitate. She cried once, tasteful, controlled. "I'll donate," she said, a hero's line. The room went silent. I became the man who would be saved. She became the woman who owned that salvation. From that day on, everything cost more. Every disagreement ended with her scar. Every boundary ended with her pain. "I gave you a kidney," she'd say softly, like a knife wrapped in velvet. I stopped arguing. I started shrinking. The truth doesn't arrive loudly. It leaks. A pharmacy bill addressed to her, not me. A lab portal login that didn't match the hospital. A donor ID that redirected to a different registry. I told myself I was paranoid. Gratitude will do that, turn suspicion into guilt. Until one night when she forgot her tablet at home. I didn't snoop, I audited. Dates didn't line up, clearance forms were unsigned, the donor match was anonymous, not spousal, not familial, not hers. My hands didn't shake. That came later. The final crack was a message preview that bloomed on the lock screen like a confession begging to be read. "He still believes it was you. 2 years and counting." That's when pain became something else. Purpose. I didn't confront her. I cataloged her. I installed nothing. I changed nothing. I let her routines expose themselves. Tuesdays weren't yoga. Thursdays weren't overtime. The man she was seeing, her supervisor, liked expensive hotels and cheap lies. He liked feeling untouchable. He liked married women who thought they were clever. I met a lawyer who didn't blink, then another who specialized in medical fraud, then a third who smiled when I showed him the donor registry discrepancy. Turns out the kidney came from a paid donor overseas. Perfectly legal, perfectly concealed, and perfectly weaponized. She hadn't saved my life. She'd rented me a leash. I waited. Revenge isn't rage, it's timing. I filed nothing until the 2-year anniversary of my transplant. That's when the trust paperwork finalized. That's when the joint assets rolled into a retirement structure she'd insisted on for security. She never read the clauses. She never imagined I would. I scheduled a wellness seminar at her company. Harmless, sponsored, educational. I volunteered to speak, a grateful survivor sharing his story. She sat in the front row, smiling, proud, possessive. I told the audience about control disguised as sacrifice, about gratitude used as currency, about how lies rot the giver first. Then I showed the documents, the donor registry, the wire transfers, the messages. I didn't look at her. I didn't have to. The room inhaled together. Her supervisor went pale. HR didn't move. Legal stood up. I ended with one sentence. I don't owe anyone my life, especially not the people who tried to own it. The confrontation came later, at home, private. She was shaking, angry now. Cornered animals always are. "You ruined everything," she said. "No," I replied. "I corrected the record." She tried to cry, then bargain, then threaten, each phase shorter than the last. When she realized the accounts were frozen, the trust irrevocable, and her leverage gone, her voice finally cracked the way mine never had. You would have died without me. I leaned in close, calm, surgical. I lived despite you. The fallout was efficient. The company settled, quietly. The affair ended, loudly. The marriage dissolved on paper long before the ink dried emotionally. She moved out with boxes of things she thought mattered. I stayed with the silence she'd been drowning out for years. I check my scar sometimes, not with anger, with clarity. It reminds me of what was taken and what wasn't. They think revenge is about destruction. It isn't. It's about restoration. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't beg. I didn't bleed in public. I waited. I learned. I chose the moment. And when the truth finally spoke, it didn't scream. It ended the conversation.